Hey, welcome back to Danford Golf Instruction. Before we get started today, make sure you leave us a thumbs up if you enjoy this content. That helps us grow the channel and we really appreciate it. And as always, make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell button so you see the future videos that we have coming out. So today what we're going to talk about is how to never shank the ball again. This is a really touchy subject. All right, shanking the golf ball, we all kind of know what it is. We've all experienced it. If you haven't experienced it, you probably will if you're a golfer. So today we're going to cover what it is, how we fix it, and I'm going to give you a drill to make sure that if you come across this sometime, how you can make sure you get rid of it really fast and you don't have to worry about that shot coming up again. So to make sure that we never shank the golf ball again, the first thing we have to do is we have to understand what is causing the shank, where we're hitting it on the club face. All right, so first off, I've come across lots of lessons where people do shank it. It happens, all right? And a lot of times they think that they're hitting it here on the club face, all right, out on the toe. All right, that's just the toe. That's not going to cause a shank. It's not going to cause the ball. Usually a shank goes directly right if you're a right-handed golfer. If you're a left-handed golfer, it goes directly left, all right? If you hit it out here on the toe, it's not going, I've never seen somebody hit it so far on the toe that it actually goes to the right. All right, so most of the time if you're struggling with a shank, it is not coming off here. It is coming right here, right off the hosel. Okay, that's what's causing you to shank the golf ball. So don't misunderstand where you're actually hitting it on the club face. So after you understand that you're actually hitting on the heel of the golf club or on the hosel, all right, the next thing you have to understand is what is your path, right? If you're a person who tends to slice the ball, right, or a person who comes over the top of it, you typically will not be a person who actually shanks the golf ball. You could be somebody who shanks it, and I'll explain that in a minute, but most of the time if you come over the top, you're hitting slices and things like that, your miss is going to be out here on the toe. It's not going to be on the hosel. So you must be doing something kind of bizarre, something a little different for you to actually shank it if you're somebody who comes over the top. Typically somebody who shanks the golf ball, they'll get to the top, and on the way down, they get the club way shallow, way behind them, and they start swinging way out to the right. All right, that is the typical person that will cause the ball to be shanked. Now that you know that the path of the club and where you're hitting it on the club, all right, let's talk about some simple ways for you to overcome it if you're struggling with it. So typically if somebody's shanking the golf ball, the first fix that you can do is check how far you're standing from the golf ball. So if you're standing really close to it, all right, your body's going to try to create room someplace so you don't get stuck, and it's going to cause your hands to push away from you. So the first thing, you got to check and make sure you're standing far enough from it. Typical ways for you to check to make sure you're standing the right distance so you're not going to shank it. Right, if you just relax your legs, if you bend from your waist and let your arms hang down, all right, arms should be hanging straight down. All right, hands should feel like they are coming straight down, I guess you can say from your neck. All right, you should almost be able to take your hand, all right, hang 10 sign, put it from the end of the club to where your belt buckle would be, or at least your leg, all right, and you should have that much room. All right, that is a typical way for you to check to make sure you're not standing too close to it and causing you to shank it. So you're standing the right distance from the ball, but you still are shanking it. All right, now you have to check and see what your body is doing. So if you have that really good setup, but you still find that you're hitting it off the hosel, shanking it, you might be somebody who gets the club to the top and starts to get the weight towards the toes, and then your body's going to stand up on the way down to try to find some balance. And before you know it, you've moved closer to the golf ball and you started to shank it. So make sure when you take it to the top of your backswing, make sure your weight shifts the right way. So at the top, inside of the right foot into the heel, all right? And then on the way down, kind of keep it on the heel. It'll slightly go into the toe and then back into the heel. So you have to feel like your body is moving away from it rather than standing up, trying to get closer to try to find that balance. We don't want you to shank it just because your body and your weight distribution or how you shift your pressure in your feet is causing you to shank it. So those are two general ways, all right, just that you can do to really check and help you make sure that it's not because how you set up or how your weight moves, all right? And then of course the next one is how do we get the club to not be so shallow because we shank it. So how do we fix the shallow approach that is causing us to shank it if our weight's moving right and our setup is right? Okay, and this is where it becomes kind of tricky, and I would have to actually kind of see your swing in order to help you decide what is causing the club to drop so far behind you. All right, a simple way that you can do to help you get the club more out in front of you is if you're getting to the top and you find that your chest is closed for an extended period of time, all right, that could cause the club to be shallow. That is probably the thing that you could focus on the most. So when you get to the top, you need to feel like your club drops, but your chest starts to basically start to cover the golf ball so you're not stuck back here. Okay. All right, as always, you need a drill to make sure that you're doing it right. You might be out there hitting the ball pretty good, all right, but it comes across again that you start shanking it, you're coming in shallow again. So here's a very simple drill that you can do. You're going to take 2 golf balls. You can do it with a water bottle on the outside. You can use a board. You can kind of use whatever you have that you're okay with possibly hitting. Okay, so I put 2 golf balls right next to each other. One golf ball is just going to be slightly on the outside, right? Because if I come in shallow too much, I'm going to hit both golf balls. Right, so you just set that up. You focus on hitting the ball on the inside and missing the ball on the outside, because if you get back here, you're going to shank it. You're going to notice it really fast. But if you get good at coming back down on top of it, making sure the path looks good, you should not hit that outside golf ball. Okay, and as always, if you're somebody who's a little steep, you typically won't have that problem with shanking it. All right, so if you're shanking it and you're too shallow, you could try to maybe steepen your swing a little bit, but be careful with making your own adjustments. That's why I always suggest try to find somebody that you can trust to help you with your golf swing, besides just the YouTube guy here. Okay, so thanks for watching. If you made it this far, this is definitely the drill that will help you the most. All right, just check your setup, make sure you're right distance, check what your body's doing in your backswing, and understand where you're hitting it on the club face.